Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So today our group will be present about HACCP system in boarding school menu. The food menu plan at boarding schools are standardized to ensure that all students staying in dormitories get a balanced nutrition and meet their needs. Food contractors for dining halls of the boarding school, cooks, and dormitory supervisors should take into account the provision of food management for students in dormitories to avoid unwanted events like food poisoning. Therefore, every aspect of each food preparation must be taken into account by identifying any hazards that may occur using the HACCP system. HACCP systems are designed to prevent the occurrence of potential food safety problems. HACCP is a system that identifies and monitors specific foodborne hazards, which are biological, chemical, or physical properties that can adversely affect the safety of the food product. HACCP system includes determine the potential hazard, critical control point, which is CCP, critical limit, OPRP, and PRP. Microbiological hazard is a food safety hazard refers to any agent with the potential to cause adverse health consequences for consumers. Critical control point is a step at which control can be applied and is essential to prevent or eliminate a food safety hazard or reduce it to an acceptable level. While critical limit is a maximum or minimum value to which a biological, chemical, or physical parameter must be controlled at a CCP to prevent, eliminate, or reduce to an acceptable level the occurrence of a food safety hazard. All of these aspects must be taken into account in order to produce a safety food menu for boarding school students. These are the list of food menu in boarding school. Before we continue, let me introduce myself. My name is Azela NABILA BINTI Abdul MUSA and my metric number is 050276. Now, let's move on to the flow of food process and their decision tree for each menu. This is the flow of food process for nasi goreng kampung. In this nasi goreng kampung, we found that there are 4 CCP. The first critical control point is during the storage of raw materials. In the storage of raw ingredients step, there might some risk of microbiological contamination, which is biological hazard for storage of poultry, the rice that already been cooled before cooked for nasi goreng kampung, and other raw ingredients. This is due to the temperature that been used and the proper ways to store them. The poultry might be stored at the same place with other raw ingredients. If thus, it can increase the growth of Salmonella species in poultry and increase the risk to cross-contamination with other raw ingredients. This will lead to foodborne diseases to occur. Therefore, in order to prevent this from happen, the worker must store safely the poultry for 2 or 3 days in the refrigerator at 40 degrees Fahrenheit or less at the separate refrigerator from other ingredients. If the supplier provided the poultry before it has to be used, the poultry must be kept frozen. Freezing should be avoided if possible because it can cause the poultry to be less tender and juicy, but frozen will prevent it from perishing if it is not to be used on that time. If there are raw juices leaking from poultry, it should be removed and re-wrapped tightly in a plastic before placing in the refrigerator. It should be kept away from other foods so there is no cross-contamination will occur. For the rice, it must be in the fridge for no more than 1 day until reheating. It is ideally having to serve as soon as possible, but if not, wait for the steam stops rising and cool the rice as quickly as possible. This helps it stay out of the food temperature danger zone, which is 5 degrees Celsius to 60 degrees Celsius. This is because keeping cool foods cool is vital for decreasing the risk of contracting a bacillus serious illness. While for storage of other food ingredients such as vegetables, they have to be washed cleanly from all dirty from soil in order to prevent any cross-contamination or growth of other bacteria that can cause foodborne illness. In this CCP2, the poultry becomes the hazard because it contains Salmonella species. If it is not being cooked properly, it can lead to foodborne diseases. Before cook, make sure that the poultry does not show grey color and sour or smelly odor. The poultry should always be cooked to 165 Fahrenheit internal temperature. In order to make sure the right temperature, it must be measured with a food thermometer by inserting it into the center of the thickest portion of the poultry. We must always monitor the heat of the poultry during cooking process. Therefore, it can be sure that the heat can kill the Salmonella species growth in poultry. It is also safe to cook meat at low temperatures for longer periods or higher temperature for shorter periods. Use a clean utensil and never use ones touched by raw meat to prevent any cross-contamination during the cooking process. Therefore, the foodborne illness can be prevented from occur. In CCP3, this was the critical part that need to be monitored because we reheat the rice that already been cooled after boil. That is why it is related to the step of storage of the rice. In order to reduce the bacteria growth, the rice needs to be cooled quickly. Refrigeration do not kill the bacteria, but it will just slow down their growth. Therefore, when it is the time for the rice to be reheated as fried rice, we must do some steps in order to reduce the risk of food poisoning. Firstly, the rice must be placed in a wok or saute pan with oil. Make sure that it is in a medium heat. Stirring the rice continuously. Make sure to break up the clumps of rice and make sure the rice is evenly covered in oil. The most important part is using a thermometer to make sure the internal temperature is at least 165 Fahrenheit because keeping hot foods hot, which is above 140 degrees Fahrenheit or 60 degrees Celsius, is vital for decreasing the risk of contracting a bacillus serious illness. Therefore, worker must always make sure that the rice is not contaminated and being left out for more than 2 hours. Do not reheat for the rice more than once as it further increases the risk of food poisoning. For kangkong, it needs to be cooked properly with the suitable temperature in order to prevent the growth of some bacteria and loss of vitamins in the kangkong. Lastly, in CCP4, we determine that this CCP is managed by OPRP. This is because we just have to make sure that the heat that being used are not between the food danger zone and not being overheated. Because overheated can cause food burning and not suitable to be served. We just need to mix the anchovies evenly through all the rice and can turn off the heat after we done. And the fried rice need to be served immediately while it is hot. That is all from me. I will pass to AINUR ANNISA for further explanation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you to the previous presenter. My name is AINUR ANNISA binti Abdul HALIM, metric number 050808. Today I'm going to present about the flow of the food process for the breakfast for nasi lemak, teh and apple. First is rice. The rice will be washed. The washing would be the CCP1. It's gonna be mixed with the raw material, which is coconut milk and salt. The mixing should be the CP1. Next is cooking. Cooking would be the CCP2. After that, it should be serving. Serving labeled as the CP. Next is the decision tree for the rice. The CCP1, which is washing, and the result is it's the PRP. The CCP2, the determination is OPRP. The corrective action for the CCP1, They need to clean the rice properly until the foreign substance can be removed. And the use of high temperature while cooking above 95 degrees Celsius to make sure the bacteria can be destroyed. Next is the flow for sambal bilis. The raw material, which is anchovies, should be washed and fried. Next is the vegetables, should be blended. The anchovies and the blended vegetables will be mixed. After that, it will be cooking for a few moments. Then it's gonna be serving. The decision tree on the sambal bilis is for the washing. It is a PRP. For the frying, it is still a CCP. And for the cooking, it is OPRP. The corrective action that should be taken is need to clean the anchovies properly until the foreign substance can be removed. Next is the use of high temperature to make sure the bacteria can be destroyed. And to increase the time and higher temperature to make sure any bacteria can be destroyed. Next is for eggs. From the raw material, which is egg, should be washed. Then it's boiled. Then after that, it can be served. The decision tree for the eggs, first washing. Washing should be the PRP. The second is boiling. Is still the CCP. Corrective action is the egg must be used shortly after being washed. The egg must be cleaned thoroughly. Next is the time to boil can be extended till 7 to 10 minutes. Next is peanut. The peanut should be washed, then fry. After that, it can be served. The decision tree for the peanut is washing. Washing will be the PRP. The second is frying. Frying is CCP. The corrective action is need to be cleaned thoroughly and extend the time of frying the peanut with the flow fire. Next is cucumber. Cucumber should be washed, cutting, and serve. The decision tree for the cucumber is washing. Washing should be decided at the PPR. And the corrective action for this is the cucumber need to be cleaned thoroughly to remove all the dirt. Next is for tea. From the tap water, it should be boiled. After it's boiling, it should be mixed with the tea and sugar. The decision tree for the tea is for the CCP one, which is boiling, is the CCP. The corrective action is the temperature must for the boiling must be used up to the 100 degrees Celsius. Next is apple. Apple should be washed and serving. The decision tree for the apples is washing and is determined as the PRP. And the corrective action is the apple should be cleaned thoroughly to remove all the dirts and the wax. Okay, that's all from me. I'll pass to the next presenter. Thank you.
Hi, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is MAWARDAH binti IBRAHIM with metric number 050419. I'm going to proceed with the next slide, which will discuss about the flow of food process for lunch menu. So firstly, the food flow for white rice included receiving, preparation, cooking, and serving. Cooking has its own critical control point because it was influenced by the time and temperature. Based on the decision tree of cooking, the type of hazard that can occur during this process step is a biological hazard. While for the control measure exists for the identified hazard is by controlling the temperature. The result for the determination of OPRP is still as a CCP. Next, For the corrective action in the food process of white rice, food hazards can occur during cooking the white rice if the cooking temperature is not met. So, the rice should be cooked by using the right and suitable temperature. During cooking the rice, make sure the temperature reaches a high temperature and keep it out from the danger zone, which is bacteria can grow rapidly during this time. So next, we will continue with the food flow of stir-fried vegetables. There are 7 steps included, such as receiving of vegetables, storing of vegetables in refrigerated temperature, the preparation of vegetables, which is included cutting, slicing, and washing, and then cooking the vegetables, while adding with the seasoning, sugar, salt, ajinomoto, and thickening, and the last one is serving. Based on this slide, there are 2 CCP included in the 7 steps of food flow. The first one is storing of vegetables, and the second one is cooking the vegetables. The type of hazard that can occur during both storing and cooking process is a biological hazard, while for the control measure exists for the identified hazard is by controlling the temperature. For the result of determination of OPRP, both remain as a CCP. After that, the corrective action for CCP1 is vegetables should be stored in a refrigerator and use the right refrigerated temperature such as 5 to 13 degrees Celsius and eat based on the type of vegetables. While the corrective action for CCP2 is by using a thermometer to check food often and use the clean utensils such as a clean pan. Then, we will proceed with the food flow of chicken curry. The first one is the raw chicken and ingredients will be received, and the raw chicken will be stored in a chiller of refrigerator, while the ingredients such as onion, spices, and tomatoes also will be stored. For the raw chicken, after chilling, it will be defrosted. Before proceed with the preparation, such as cutting, washing, also for the ingredients too. And then, both chicken and ingredients will be mixed before proceed with the cooking. And the last one is by serving in a plating line. Based on the food flow of chicken curry, there are 4 CCP included such as CCP1 and CCP3 for storing the raw chicken and ingredients, while CCP2 is for defrosting the chicken, and CCP4 is for cooking. The type of hazard that can occur during storing of raw chicken and storing of ingredients is a biological hazard. The control measure exists for the identified hazard is by controlling the temperature. The results for the determination of OPRP remain as a CCP. While for defrosting, the type of hazard that can occur during this step also is a biological hazard, and the control measure exists for the identified hazard is also by controlling the temperature. The determination of OPRP is resulting as a OPRP in the last one because it has no critical limit. The last one is CCP4, which is cooking. The type of hazard that can occur during the cooking process is a biological hazard, and the control measure exists for the identified hazard is by controlling the temperature. The results of determination of OPRP is also remain as a CCP. The corrective action for CCP1 and CCP3 are the raw chicken should be stored in a freezer area under the right temperature such as 40 Fahrenheit or lower, while for the onion and spices, the temperature between 45 Fahrenheit and 55 Fahrenheit is suitable to store it. Next, for the defrosting, Use cold water and plastic to defrost chicken in order to prevent the damage of meat. While the last one is cooking. Cooking can be used a thermometer to determine the temperature of the chicken. 165 Fahrenheit is a safe internal temperature for both white and dark meat. So now, I'm going to pass this presentation to our next presenter. Thank you.
Hi and Assalamualaikum everyone, I'm AMIRAH SAHIRA and my metric number is 050394. For white rice, there are two CCPs. CCP1 is for cooking. In this step, the potential hazard includes survival of germs or pathogens. Uncooked rice can contain spores of Bacillus cereus, bacteria that can cause food poisoning. The rice must be cooked properly with core temperature at least 75 degrees Celsius in order to avoid or reducing the hazard, which is the survival of Bacillus cereus. The level of clean water must be sufficient to the amount of rice when using the rice cooker. Ensure that the rice is cooked properly before serving. CCP2 is storage until serving. The hazard in this step is multiplication of pathogens if do not stored properly before serving it to students. The spores can survive when rice is cooked. If rice is left standing at room temperature, the spores can grow into bacteria. These bacteria will multiply and may produce toxins that cause vomiting or diarrhea. The cooked rice must be kept in clean covered containers and away from raw food at temperature above 60 degrees Celsius or at 4 degrees Celsius or below. The temperature must be checked regularly to ensure that the food is kept at designated temperature. The rice also must be served within 4 hours after being cooked. For ayam masak merah, there are 5 CCPs. CCP1, receiving of raw material. In this part, the significant hazard was salmonella that lives in chickens and other animals. The fresh chicken received must be free from salmonella bacteria, as the bacteria could cause food poisoning, and also free from any sign of deterioration. The chicken must be received from approved sources that practicing good hygiene. If required good condition doesn't met, the raw material should be rejected. CCP2 storage. The chicken must be stored in freezer with temperature below 18 degrees Celsius to slow down or prevent the growth of pathogenic bacteria, especially salmonella. Monitor the temperature of fridge thermometer. Throw out the chicken if sign of deterioration occur. CCP3 mixing. The hazard may involve physical contamination from blades of the blending machine and foreign materials such as dust. Check the condition of the machine thoroughly and clean it properly before and after using it. Next, CCP4 cooking. The significant hazard is the microbial growth of food poisoning bacteria such as Campylobacter jejuni, Salmonella, Clostridium perfringens, and Staphylococcus aureus that live in the chicken. The chicken must be cooked properly at temperature more than 95 degrees Celsius in 15 minutes in order to prevent or reduce the growth of bacteria. Thermometer can be used to monitor the temperature of the chicken. Cook longer if the chicken does not achieve required temperature. CCP5 storage before serving. The significant hazard was the microbial growth of bacteria associated with the chicken, which can cause food poisoning. They multiply rapidly at temperatures between 4.4 degrees Celsius and 60 degrees Celsius. The cooked chicken should be eaten up quickly after being cooked. And the CCP1 for mixed vegetables is washing and trimming. The hazard is the presence of major foodborne microbial pathogens, which includes Salmonella, Vibrio cholera, Listeria monocytogenes that can be found in fresh produce that live in the soil of the vegetables. It can cause food poisoning. The vegetables must be washed thoroughly using clean water, and some spoiled part of the vegetables must be trimmed off in order to prevent food contamination. Throw out the vegetables if sign of deterioration occur. Cooking is for CCP2. The vegetables used, which are carrot, cauliflower, broccoli, and baby corn, must be cooked properly to avoid pathogenic bacterial growth. However, it should not be overcooked. Keep the pan with oil at temperature between 177 degrees Celsius and 200 degrees Celsius. Cook the vegetables in 5 to 7 minutes. The appearance of the vegetables is one of the determinants whether the vegetables are overcooked or not.
In conclusion, all parts of the flow of food preparation need to be considered, started with the receiving the ingredient until it being served to the students. It is needed to be alert with any possible hazard that can occur during the process. All the food ingredients can be part of the food hazard, so it is our job to make sure to reduce the growth of the bacteria and also can reduce the risk of getting any foodborne illness. The HACCP system is important in order to make sure the safety of the food menu. This system playing the crucial part in order to prevent the increases of foodborne illness that caused by mishandling during preparation of food. Boarding school must be guided thoroughly about the hygiene and the proper ways to handle the preparation of food for the students. That is all from us today. Thank you for listening.